So Dad, Coach, turns 80 years old today.
About
Greg and I, our dad, and of course, there's been so many legendary moments throughout the show. But you have to understand, Greg and I, growing up with this man as our dad, and now 80 years that he's been here, and we've talked about all the different things. But there's some people that are new to the program, and Dad, as far as just a dad, there was again, Greg. I've said this 1,000 times. I thought we were raised normally. I realize now we weren't. I mean, I don't.
And that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing.
Right.
I didn't know the things he was doing that wasn't normal.
He could take that white athletic tape and cure any ailment you had. There was usually not a doctor involved.
No, he taped.
He'd tape you up.
He taped the end of my toe back on one time.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Many broke fingers or dislocated fingers.
Everything.
Tape it to the finger next to it, and you're going to be fine.
I didn't know that you didn't go to the hospital for injuries. I had no idea. I didn't think people did that. I thought you had to be in really bad shape to go.
I got knocked out of school one time playing basketball. Mom always tells this. I don't even remember going to school that day. We did treat head injuries different.
Much
so she
different.
takes me by to see him, and he makes me look at the light and checks my pupils and said, he'll be fine. Just take him home. Don't let him fall asleep. She goes, and I thought he knew what he was talking about. She goes, now I realize he really had no idea what he was talking about.
Well,
she goes, now, it scares me
to
think about it.
They've gone back and forth, when you and I had the chance to play for him, and there was only 1 year of Greg and I, our entire time we played football. Now in baseball we got to do it a couple times, but in football we only got to play together one time.
Yeah.
And Dad was the coach, and I played and Greg played. Both of us played on the defense, and Mom said for one of the few times in her life she had to go to one ball game.
Okay. Yeah, wasn't that great?
And all three were there, 2 sons and Dad and her husband. So I got injured in like the second round of the playoffs. We went to the state championship that year, and sadly lost to the team that now your son coaches for, which is weird.
Yeah, Warriors.
But anyway, but I got hurt in the second round of that. Well, it just was a different time, guys. I mean, it was just a different time. You didn't have orthopedic surgeons on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So
you didn't have a tent you popped up?
No tent.
So the thing,
MRIs wasn't even a thing then.
So the thing then, and it has
Goes back to that white tape.
and it has served me well, is Dad had a phrase, and I think it was pretty common in those days, and they would ask you, can you go? That was the phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, come here, what's up? I said, I don't know. I got my foot got hung under the pile. I heard something pop. I said, man, something's wrong with my foot. Well, can you go? Yeah, I guess I don't really know that. I mean, let's work it out. So I get over there where they take more athletic tape and they just start taping me where I can stand on it. So I go back in, and this is a world famous. And my mom, it makes her so mad. So I hope she's not listening right now, because I don't want to give him any issues today. So the famous line goes as he talks to the coaches in the press box. And just think about, there's people going to cry out there today. They'll cry, oh no, that's so mean. That's how bad we've got it. So anyway, this is what the legend goes. That he calls up to the press box. Hey, how's he doing? I got to tell you, man, he's limping around pretty good between the plays. I mean, he's really limping. And so my dad says, well, his foot's broke. He's going to limp. How'd he do when the ball snapped?
Yeah.
Well, he's holding that three. He's holding that three guy pretty good. Yes. All right, well, as long as he's doing that, leave him in there. Maybe the first time, he told me afterwards, we talked about it later, he goes, you know what, for the first time in your life, you finally played the middle screen right. Because I couldn't run past it.
I couldn't fall for it.
Rick sniffed that one out.
Yeah, look at him staying home. Oh, I'm sorry, he can't move. But anyway, so we, and then there's so many, because you just have this authoritative figure in your life. But like Greg has said it, and Greg, this is your quote, and you're right. We especially when we were little, we were convinced that we were being raised by a superhero.
Oh yeah, he was indestructible.
My dad can beat your dad thing for us. We thought anybody that thinks they can come against our dad is just delusional.
Sure.
I mean, this guy is a superhero.
Do you remember he was probably in his 50s, and me and you were arguing over who could outrun the other one?
Yes.
He goes, I can outrun both of you. And we're like, Dad, you can't outrun.
He's in his 50s at this time.
And
He's
so we get
80
out in the
today.
front yard, and now he did jump the start.
He did.
He jumped the start and outran us, but he pulled a hamstring as he crossed the line.
In his 50s.
Yeah. I mean, we're over arguing who can outrun. Because I tell you what, I got to outrun both of you.
So it didn't stretch out real good.
No, not a lot of stretching. But here we are in the front yard,
We didn't know this. We didn't know that you let your kids shoot things hunting.
No, or win.
The only way the only thing you got to shoot if you were hunting with him is if you just it came to you. If it came to him or you were with him,
he wasn't gonna let you.
My goodness, he shot one out in front of one of his grandkids.
Well, Rick didn't like to see a deer leave the field.
Yeah, hey, y'all know I don't like to see one.
That was his statement.
Hey, I'm sorry, Greg, your boy missed it. I can't. I don't like to see a deer leave the field.
But what he left out, he'd already killed one, so he wasn't supposed to kill him.
Now he's killed another one.
I remember that.
But anyway, and the other one was we didn't know that dads let their kids win at anything. We had no idea. I can remember Mom. He had us out there on the 8-foot basketball go, and he's elbowing us, knocking us down.
The few times he ever actually played against us or met like when we got big
he
enough,
would just destroy us.
He wouldn't cut you no slack.
He beat us like bad too, like break your spirit. And Mom's like, you need to let them win. And he's like, they're old enough to try to win now. She's like, honey, they're not even. I mean, they're still wearing pull-ups. I mean, should you be?
They're 4.
Should you be knocking them down? I mean, it's so.
Remember that great idea that they were going to buy boxing gloves for us?
Yes.
Which just led to many fights. And he would get on his knees with the gloves, and we'd box him, and he'd let us have his way off, and he'd slip one. Boop.
Yeah. Wait, we go back.
Just to let you know.
We're like having fun.
Just let you know. Right now.
We're having fun with the boxing gloves. Here comes Dad. Oh no.
He'd get on his knees.
Yeah, and but some of the great ones. So I remember I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. The heart attack he didn't have.
Yeah, when you tell
don't get me started on it. He still claims he never had a heart attack in the '60s, and he had 5 bypasses. Yeah. And why, Greg, does he say he didn't have a heart attack? Because he didn't pass all the way out.
That's right. He stayed conscious.
Greg, did I go all the way out?
Close.
He goes, all right, so I didn't. So I didn't have a heart attack. So we went through this whole ordeal. So now
I don't know if that's a measuring.
I don't
stick
either,
for him.
Bubba. Greg, Bubba,
But
remember,
I'm not going to bring
he
it
has his own measuring sticks on everything. Yeah. And so we were hunting and at Dream Ranch. And so Mom goes to me to tell him, which is not what the position you want to be in.
No.
Tell your dad, since he's had these bypasses, he doesn't need to be dragging his deer out of the woods. Now, keep in mind, at Dream Ranch,
nobody drags their own deer.
You don't have to drag your deer out. They come get you, and they help you with it.
Of course, they also tried to help him carry his luggage in. He wasn't big on that.
He wouldn't have anything to do with that. Hey, I don't need no help tear my hunt stuff in. I'm like, Dad, this is kind of what they do here. I remember the first time we went to a place, and they came out of the woods in the morning. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, they come get us, and we go in and eat and go back out. He goes, you leave the woods? Who does that? I said, I think everybody but you. But anyway, so anyway, I don't remember the time we went to that place and they said they didn't mourn the hunt. I think you were there, Bubba.
Oh, he couldn't believe it.
Oh, my gosh.
Couldn't believe it.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, he did. I can tell you that.
Oh, he just sat on the road because they had nowhere to put him. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm in the bunk room, okay, and he has, of course, drug his deer to the road, okay, that earlier in the afternoon, and I'm supposed to say something, and I'm dreading it, okay, and I guess then he'd be in his 60s because it was after the heart attack, and so I'm a grown man. I mean, I have children. I'm a grown man, okay, because I'm not him. And I said, hey, Dad, and he's over, because he's going to put all his stuff back because he's OCD like you've never seen. So he's putting everything where he wants it on the bunk. And I said, hey, Dad, I just want to talk to you about something. And so it's like he knew something was coming, and he played the authoritative card, and he turned around and he said, what? And the minute he said that, I was like 11, okay? And I was like, Ma, I just want you to know that
Mom suggested
that there's no need here to drag the deer to the road. There are people who come, and won't we wait till they get here? And then all of a sudden, the worst thing, he shuts the gun case. Turns around and said, hey, let me tell you something. And when I heard that, I was like, wish I hadn't done it. Wish I wasn't here. He goes, let me tell you something. And you and anybody else needs to hear this. Yes, sir. A man that can't drag his deer to the road or not be hunting. So you pass it along to whoever needs to hear it here at the ranch or at home, that is just what I do. Yes, sir. And tried. So I get on the phone. I said, Mom, it is possible that your husband and my father will die face down, dragging a deer and in the mud. But if that's the way he wants to go,
hey, that ain't the worst way.
Yeah, how about this? So I'm done with it. If that's something y'all want to talk about, that's fine. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out of the conversation.
I'm out. Yeah. You know why? Because that's just what he does. How do you argue with that?
Well, whatever that means.
What does that even mean?
That means he's going to do what he wants to do. So hush up.
That means deal with it.
Happy birthday, Dad. 80. They don't make them like you anymore. 80.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.
So running through a couple of stories with Dad turning 80 years old today. So happy birthday, Pop.
The big 80.
And he loved the Eagles. Boy, he loves the
all
Eagles.
about the Eagles.
Oh, Rick, let me ask you something. Is
Ricky
there any-
likes the Doobie Brothers, too.
Yeah, but the Eagles, Greg, he'll say, hey, honestly, can't nobody do what they do, Rick. I know. And he always had appreciation, I mean, and still does to this day. He thinks the Eagles, that like bands, anybody that even remotely
He'll give you that.
thinks there's anybody better than the Eagles is just an idiot. You know?
Class
Can't
by
nobody do
themselves.
what they do, Rick.
Class by themselves.
They in a class all by Rick, listen to this. And that's one thing a lot of people don't know. Dad has a great appreciation for music.
Oh, and when we were kids, he bought us our first records. He brought us Grand Funk Railroad.
Yeah,
45.
See, I didn't realize that everybody's
Allman
over here.
Brothers.
Everybody's over here getting all this music, you know, that were the hits of the day from their parents. My dad's bringing home Grand Funk Railroad.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so we just wrapping it up, and we'll come back, take some calls, and do some other stuff. But just thinking about him being 80 now is also these great lines. He taught us lessons, so many that we apply to. Is I remember when he was getting the any kind of accolade, he always he thinks is just. It's not that he doesn't appreciate it. He just thinks it's a team sport to give individuals accolades in football.
But he does appreciate it.
He no doubt appreciates it. But he also puts everything in perspective. He's always been really good at that. So we're standing out on the field at Jacksonville State, and they're naming the field after him. You know, Burgess Field's the big ceremony, which big day for Mom and for the all those that sacrificed so much with his coaching and the teams and the coach and the players
to have this done.
all that. And they really wanted it done. That he did, all this, and it's really an honor for them. So he's sitting there, and he just picked these. He picks these moments that he just says, and you'll see where our sense of humor comes from. A lot of times he goes, "Hey," and I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Just remember this." He goes, "Ain't this some whatever?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Same people that fired me just named the field after me." He said, "That's the world we live in."
Yeah.
He said, "No." And then when they won the national championship in '92 on the last play of the game, they had to make a stop on defense.
Golly, it's
a great story.
It is.
And so he, being the head coach, of course, the play comes down at the end. And this is also a great, great story about preparation. And I know, Greg, your son as a coach is really good at this, and those that can do this are very valuable to teams, and that is to look at tendencies of teams. So Jacksonville State 92 is playing Pittsburgh State. Big day for Bubba and I in Rick and Bubba history.
Yeah.
And so Pittsburgh State takes it down. They got one shot to the end zone on fourth down from about the 12-yard line, somewhere in there? 15, somewhere in there?
Somewhere.
But anyway, so they get this.
close.
This is the game. This is it. Because they can't, field goal won't help them. They're down by 4, right?
Yep.
And so the
Packers would have kicked a field goal.
defensive coordinator and Pop are talking, and so he asks, "What are they going to do on this play?" And just with zero hesitation, defense coordinator says, "Going to throw to the slot receiver." Now they got an All-American out there at wideout. Okay,
Big, tall, lanky guy that's
Play for the
very
Vikings.
hard to cover.
play for the Vikings. He said, "How many times this situation do they throw to the slot guy on the inside?" He said, 100% of the time. I've been breaking down the film. They're going to throw to the slot. So we're going to drop the outside linebacker for some help, and we're going to single cover the All-American for the win now. Okay.
Because most everybody would double cover the All-American
Right.
and leave the slot guy, who was a little shifty guy, wasn't that big, open, or single cover him.
So guess what happens for the national championship? They throw to the guy in the slot. Outside linebacker knocks it down. Game's over. So then come the interviews. And this is one of the things I love about Dad. Happy birthday, Dad. 80 years old today.
80.
They say, "Coach Burgess, on the last play, you go over there and make the defensive call." Now, I would say out of 100 coaches, head coaches, there's very, very few. There are some, but there's very, very few that wouldn't take credit for it that I've ever been around. So, I went down there on the family. Had to give a little feedback. Had to get everything right. I'm a head coach. And so they said, did you make the call on the coverage? To which Dad replies, as only he can. And so many of you out there can learn from our dad. He said, let me ask you a question. With the national championship on the line, who would you let make the call? The guy that's broken down thousands of hours of film to learn every tendency of the team we're playing, or the guy who spoke at the Kiwanis Club? He said, I thought I'd let the guy who did all the work do it.
Uh-huh.
And that's a very unique quality you don't find much anymore.
No.
As I said, I know we throw around, they don't make them like that anymore. Talking about Bill Burgess, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, yeah. My first interview ever at on the square at Jacksonville, Alabama for Jacksonville State College radio station 92J. I was told, hey, you need to interview Coach Burgess. And I'm like, okay, just being a silly college student that had, some responsibilities. And I'll never forget how nervous I was because people started going, now, do you realize who you're interviewing? So I'm starting to do research and stuff. And I think the mic might have been shaking. I was it was nervous, Speedy. Ain't going, It's just, I will never forget where I was standing in the square or anything. And he was just so nice, of course. He helped me a lot. He could tell I was nervous. But to go from that to, hey, I'm hanging out with him, hunting and stuff. And I would always, Coach, you realize you were my first interview? Really? And we get to talk, and it was fun.
You've done many since.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
We've learned a lot from you, Dad. Happy birthday. We love you. 80 years old today.
80 years old today.